Hi, I'm Richard Seitz alongside Angel Green, and welcome to another edition of Iterations, a video blog from Allen Interactions. Today we wanted to have a topic that we could debate a little bit, except for the fact the topic we've chose we agree on, probably every part of it. And that's the debate in our industry about whether learners need to know or whether learners need to do. And the design is driving towards either knowing or doing. Right. And it's one that drives a lot of the work that we see in the industry and in organizations. We start projects, people come in with these large 3-ring binders or packets of information or PowerPoint slide decks, and they say, this is everything the learner needs to know, let's go make training out of that. Why is it you think that people do that?
I think that there's an assumption that just because a learner knows something, that they are going to go and do something with that information.
Right.
That they could change their performance just because they've read about a concept, a topic, and that there's some sort of change that they're going to have.
How could they not do something different if now they know this?
Right.
And I think that's what they think drives it.
Right. And I think a better assumption that we should make in the industry is that if you could do something, then we should assume that you know what you need to know.
Well, absolutely. If you're doing it, and it certainly has to be at a level that's quality, that's competent, but if you're doing it, then you know enough to accomplish that. Instead of that, which we keep getting back to, that SME example of these people are trained and they have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, they know a lot of things, so the assumption is we want them to be like that. Right. And so they have to know all of those things. But the problem is that person learned all of those things through events and experiences in their life. Right. And those experiences are what we should recreate.
Right. And now we have these courses that are sitting out on LMSs that are 80 slides long of information that somebody's going to have to click through. And if they want to go back and reference that information when they're actually doing the event, now they have to figure out which course it's in, which slide it was on, click my way through it. And is there a better way, do you think, that we could provide that kind of information to our learners without burdening them to go through?
I think that's the key, is that there are many times that we could actually take that information, the majority of it, 80 or 90% sometimes in these courses, and provide a much more easy access way for learners to access this information at the moment of performance,
right,
when they really need it.
Right.
Not an encyclopedia to learn while they're sitting in a course, but be able to access through that type of information quickly while it's happening on the job.
Right. And it doesn't matter if it's instructor-led training or if it's e-learning or whatever type of training that you're having. If it's information that is needed to be read or referenced again, put it in a format that's less burdensome from learners, that allows them to access it when they need it, and then save the training for those moments of actually doing so that you can change performance in the moment.
And I think this has a couple of origins, and I think most of the time is our instructional models are usually based on the idea of education.
Right.
Which we want people to have a lot of knowledge in these concepts and to be able to synthesize them together into greater, bigger concepts and ideas.
Right.
But in the workforce, what we want people to do is to be able to perform a task better.
Yeah.
It may be a soft skill task, but it's still a task. And it's very directive, that we know that they're doing it this way today, we want them to do it this way tomorrow. And that's our performance gap that we need to look at. And all of that information might be helpful somewhere down the road when they get to higher levels of performance, but today it really isn't.
And even for those new hires, so if this is completely new concepts for them, what we still want to show them is, what does performance look like?
Right.
What do I need to be doing in order to be successful at my job? What do I need to be doing in order to make my sales quota? What do I need to be doing in order to help my customers?
That brings us to the second point, is information just given to people has no context.
No.
And so we make the assumption that, hey, they're going to lodge this in their mind somewhere, and then they're going to come back and pull it out when the context occurs in this performance. That, oh, by the way, now I know what to do because I remember that from that course. But they won't retain it because they didn't have the context when they first looked at it. They may remember the topic, or they may remember a phrase or something, but they certainly won't remember that information.
Well, and that's why we believe that training needs to be meaningful, memorable, and motivational. So what does that mean for our learners?
Well, what it means is we have to give it a context. We've got to place it in a context and a structure that is meaningful to their day-to-day activities. We've got to make it memorable. And hundreds of slides, PowerPoint decks, and large volumes of information is not memorable. It's not even retainable, much less is it memorable. And the third key, which is the most important, we've got to make it motivational. And I really think that's the most important M of the three. Because we want to have this course built in a way that demonstrates to the learner that the organization values their time.
Right.
And it demonstrates to the learner that they're going to get something out of this training moment that they can take back and improve their day-to-day life, make them a more capable professional. So if we can build training that's meaningful, memorable, and specifically motivational, I think we'll get over this hump of having this debate between know versus do.
Yes, I agree.
Well, thanks again for joining us, and hope you join us next time on Iterations.
Bye-bye.